My aunt asked an innocent question about my inheritance, and my whole world came crashing down. This is the story of how I found out my parents had stolen millions from me and how I fought to get it all back. Some betrayals you just never see coming. The kind that don't just break your heart, but make you question your entire life. You start picking apart every memory, every hug, every I love you. For me, that gut punch moment didn't come from some dramatic confession. It came from a simple question over a cup of coffee. A question that peeled back a lie so huge it had been my reality for almost 10 years. My grandfather was my absolute hero. He was one of those classic self-made guys, building a local business into a regional powerhouse. But to me, he was just grandpa. He taught me how to fish, slipped me $20 bills, and always said, "Work hard, be honest, and this family will always take care of you." When he died, the grief was just massive. My parents told me he'd left some money behind, but his estate was a total mess, tied up in debts and legal fees. They said it would be years before I saw a dime, if anything at all. And I believed them. Why wouldn't I? They're my parents. So, I went out and built my own life. I worked 2 jobs to get through college, racking up student loans. I lived in a tiny apartment with a faucet that never stopped dripping, and a landlord who hated my guts. I remember calling my parents one night, just sobbing, because my car broke down and I had no idea how I was going to pay for the repair and still make rent. They sent me a few $100, telling me things were tight for them, too. All the while, their lives were getting better. A lot better. They took a trip to Europe. My mom got a brand new luxury SUV for her birthday. They gutted their kitchen and put in top-of-the-line everything. Whenever I asked, they'd just say they'd been smart with investments, or that Dad got a huge bonus. I was so proud of them. I was happy for them, never once connecting their new lifestyle to the inheritance that was supposedly lost in red tape. They gaslit me so perfectly that I felt guilty for my own struggles. Then came that coffee with my aunt, my grandpa's sister. We were just catching up when she smiled and said, "You know, your grandpa would be so proud of you. I hope that nest egg he left you made things a little easier. He was so excited for you to have that security." I just stared at her. Nest egg. I forced a laugh, trying to play it cool. "Oh, you know, it's all been tied up in probate for years." It was a real nightmare. The look of confusion on her face was the first crack in the foundation of my life. She just shook her head. "Tied up? Honey, what are you talking about? Your grandfather's will was crystal clear. Everything was settled less than 6 months after he passed. He left you the bulk of his cash. It was over $2 million. Your parents were just the executors." In that 1 second, all the air left my body. The leaky faucets, the student debt, the desperate phone calls, it all flashed before my eyes. But now it was cast in this sick, twisted new light. This wasn't a story about my struggle. It was a story about their theft. I went home that day and I didn't cry. I didn't scream. Something inside me just hardened. The confusion turned into this cold, clear resolve. My grandfather didn't just leave me money. He left me a legacy of hard work and honesty, and my parents had spit on it. They used his love for me as their personal piggy bank. The next day, I started making calls. I was way out of my depth, so I found a lawyer who specialized in contested estates. I walked into his office with a notepad and a story that sounded completely insane. He just listened, his face giving nothing away. When I finished, he didn't give me sympathy. He gave me a plan. First, he told me that because my aunt could testify I was the beneficiary, I had what's called standing. We weren't just on a fishing expedition. We had a real target. Next, he laid out the legal grounds. This wasn't just a family squabble. It was textbook fraud. My parents had actively lied about the will and the estate. He also mentioned something called undue influence, but said that would be harder to prove. For now, fraud was our best shot. The most important part, he warned, was the clock. There are strict statutes of limitation on these things, and every day we waited was a risk. So the hunt began. My lawyer filed a petition to officially demand a copy of the will. While we waited, I basically became a detective in my own life. I dug up every email and bank statement showing the pathetic little sums of money they'd sent me. I documented all my student loans, my debts, all of it. Then, with a private investigator my lawyer recommended, we started tracking their spending. The trip to Europe, the SUV, the renovation, it all lined up perfectly. Starting almost exactly 7 months after my grandfather died, my lawyer's team found out that in my state, we could question the will's witnesses and the drafting attorney under oath before we even filed a full lawsuit. This was our chance to catch them in a lie before they even knew what was coming. Every piece of paper felt like a fresh stab in the back. Seeing my grandfather's signature on a document that gave me everything, right next to bank statements showing huge transfers to my parents' accounts. It was a special kind of hell. They didn't just take the money. They watched me struggle, they listened to me cry, and they lied straight to my face, all while living it up on my dime. This quiet phase wasn't about getting revenge. It was about getting justice. The confrontation wasn't some screaming match over the dinner table. That's what they would have wanted. It would have given them the chance to twist things, to play the victim, to gaslight me one last time. No, this was going to be a controlled demolition. My lawyer sent them a formal letter requesting a meeting to discuss discrepancies in the administration of the estate. They agreed, probably thinking they could handle their ungrateful daughter. They walked into that conference room looking all concerned and disappointed in me. I let my lawyer do the talking. He was calm, professional, and absolutely brutal. He laid a copy of my grandfather's will on the table. Then, a summary of the estate's assets. Then, the statements showing the funds moving into their accounts. He followed it up with a portfolio documenting their biggest purchases, all dated and cross-referenced with the withdrawals. My father started blustering about managing the money for me because I was too young and irresponsible. My mother started crying, claiming they only did it to protect me from the money. This was the moment I'd been waiting for. I finally spoke, my voice totally level. Protect me? Did you protect me? When I was living on ramen noodles? Did you protect me? When I was crying on the phone because I couldn't afford a $400 car repair? You didn't protect me. You robbed me. You robbed your own daughter to buy a new kitchen. That's when my lawyer delivered the knockout punch. He explained they had two options. Option A, they sign a settlement right now, returning what was left of the inheritance, plus a legally calculated amount for the money they'd already spent and the investment growth I'd lost. They would also sign over the title to my mom's SUV and agree to a lien against their house, all handled privately. Or option B, we file a public lawsuit for fraud. Their friends, their neighbors, everyone they knew would find out what they did. And, he added, while this was a civil matter, bank fraud on this scale tends to get the attention of criminal prosecutors. My father went ghost white. All the fight just drained out of him. My mother's tears weren't for show anymore. They were the real, desperate tears of someone watching her perfect life go up in flames. They chose option A. It took 3 months, but they signed every last page. The money is now in a trust, managed by a professional. My grandfather's legacy is finally safe. There was no tearful reunion. There's no apology in the world that could fix this. I haven't spoken to my parents since that day, and I don't know if I ever will. Some betrayals just cut too deep, but this was never about getting my parents back. It was about getting myself back. I've paid off my student loans. I bought a small house. I even started a scholarship in my grandfather's name at the local community college. I'm finally living the life he wanted for me, a life of security and self-worth. They took my money, but I took back my life. The cost was the family I thought I had, but the reward was my freedom. What would you have done? Confronted them yourself, or gone straight to a lawyer? Let me know in the comments. And if you've ever had to fight for what's yours, subscribe for more stories about taking back your power.